Hey guys, Sean Bougie here. I am starting the event. Need to give you guys an overview of how we're going to do this tonight. So if you guys can just at first do me a favor, and if somebody out there could let me know you can hear and see me okay, that would be great. The offers should also be showing. Okay. Okay. A-okay. Fantastic, Ed. I appreciate that. Now, we're going to do this a little different. Yep, everybody can see. Okay, good. Guys, I'm going to disable chat for just a little bit here. Okay. And there's a reason for that. Hold on. Hear and see loud and clear. Great. Okay. Guys, I'm going to disable the chat for just a minute. All right. All right. So here's how this is going to work. So for the first hour, Jeff and I decided to do this because we think it makes the most sense with the different types of people we got coming into the webinars. Okay. So for the first half hour, it'll be pre-purchase. So what that means is I'm going to cover our different products and systems for the first. After I'm done covering the systems and products that we have, I'm going to open it up to any questions, pre-purchase questions. At 9 o'clock, we will switch over into all other questions. But between now and 9 is going to be all pre-purchase questions, and I'm going to be covering the different products. And mostly I'm just covering questions that I receive quite commonly. So there are two different main programs that we have. And guys that have purchased from us, just bear with me. 9 o'clock we'll have wide live webinar question and answer, right? 9 o'clock we'll have it with all of them. In about 5 minutes after I'm done doing this, 5 or 10 minutes, we'll have live question and answer for pre-purchase questions. So the two main types of systems that we have are flipping programs and overage programs. Okay. So with the overage programs, we have two main programs. The National Surplus Funds Program, and both of these programs, by the way, teach you mortgage and tax overages, and they give you an option to be a partner with us. These are the overage first. These overage programs are the National Surplus Funds Program, and that what that does is requires you can either do it completely on your own, or if you want to be a researcher, you go get a list. We teach you how to do that. We don't provide a list because it's too easy to get the lists, and we don't know how we would split that list up, right? Give it to like 5, 10 different people. It doesn't make sense to us. You go get a list. You research the debt and the ownership on that property as it stood the day of the sale, just before the foreclosure. You turn that into us. This is the National Surplus Funds Program. You turn that in with some supporting documentation, copy of the deed, that type of thing. And we do the rest. We find the people, put the deal together, hire the mobile notary, hire the attorney. We use structured buyouts where we give 10% of the gross amount being held by the court up front to the claimant. And then we give the rest of whatever we agree to, typically another 40, 50% when we successfully get the money out of the court. We always use attorneys. We pay the attorneys 10%. We pay our researcher, the National Surplus, we pay you 8%, and we're paying them 50 to 60, the claimant. You're researching debt and ownership, filling out a title worksheet with that, and providing supporting documents. We give you 8% of the gross amount being held by the court as a commission when we successfully get the money out of the court. The other one is the Premier 16. Now, with that one, and both these again teach you tax and mortgage overages, and both of them also give you the option of being a partner. The Premier 16, what that one does different is it requires we give you 16% of the gross amount being held. But that one requires that you also find the people and have a warm conversation to make sure they're willing to speak with us. Those are the two main programs for the surplus funds. Okay. The two main, the two main programs that allow for partnership on deed flipping is what we call it, which is flipping property as is, where is the national deed flip. And that one we give you 15% of our net. Our average net, regardless of the program, is around 30 grand on a flip. We buy the property from the owner, give them money. pay off whatever the debt is that's foreclosing against the debt. Okay, this foreclosing against property, I should say, the individual and the property. It's actually the property if it's tax sale. We pay that off to stop the sale. Of course, record our deed, pay that off to stop the sale. And then we flip the property as is, where is to investors. Typically, we net about 30 grand. Okay. So the average commission on national deed flip, where you're researching, same thing, kind of, right? Debt and ownership as it stands prior to that foreclosure, before the foreclosure hits, obviously, we're trying to buy the property. You're researching that, turning that into us on our worksheet with supporting documents. We call the people, put the deal together, pay them off, pay off whatever the foreclosing debt is to stop the sale. Okay. And we flip the property as is, where is, and we pay you 15% of our net. Average net is 30 grand. Second one is the deed flip 30. We give you 30%, but on that one, you also have to find the people and call them to make sure they're willing to speak with us. Okay. Those are the four main programs as far as flips and overages. There are ancillary programs. There is a link on this page to our site. You can go there, click on products, enter your name and information. You probably already have in the past. But what you might not have noticed is when you get to the products page, there's a download. It's the Insider's Guide. It's an overview of all of our programs, goes in a lot more depth, and also covers the ancillary programs, additional programs that we have. Okay. You can download that, read through it. And guys, if you got questions after that, you're welcome to call me 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. You can call me at 704. There'll be a replay available to you too. 704-791-9398. Also, if you go to the site, surplusfundsriches.com, my phone number is right on there as well. It's my direct cell. Please don't call me outside of those area times if you don't mind. And also, always leave me a message. I've had people say, hey, Sean, I tried to call you, couldn't reach you. Did you leave a message? No, doesn't count. I need you to leave me a message, and I will call you back. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is between now and 9 o'clock, I'm going to open up the chat setting so that you guys, and again, I know that was a quick overview. There are additional programs that we have. I'd be happy to answer questions about those as well. But for now, let's enable chat, and I will take pre-purchase questions from you guys. And the chat box should have opened for you. You may have to close the product offering box or do something else in order to see it. But I am looking forward to your pre-purchase question. All right, we should be live. Anything and everything goes as far as pre-purchase questions between now and 9. And then at 9 o'clock, we're going to have both post-purchase questions and any other questions you might have. Happy to provide any information we can. So now everything is on. I appreciate Jeff. Jeff is the moderator. He's also my right-hand man, my business partner. And he's going to be the moderator on this. And he will flash up questions as they come up as well. All I need from you guys is ask me questions. While I'm waiting, I'll tell you what, let me let you know what you get when you purchase a program from us. The four that I went into are all partnership programs. They come with an initial PDF. Hey, Josh, I'll get to you in just 1 second. An initial PDF. That ebook is an overview, summary, and a step-by-step. Okay. And from there, what we do is we will take, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read questions as I should be doing this. All right. From there, you have a link with a password that goes to a resources page with additional training, information on submitting files to us, independent contractor agreement that protects us both, even our active files list. So the first thing you do when you get a list, we teach you how to do that. First thing you do is search it by the file names on your list. You search our list by your file names on your list to make sure we don't already have it. We do not have a saturation issue at all, but this way we can be very transparent and upfront about that. Oh, good question from Josh. What's the difference between Surplus Hybrid and BK Goldmine? All right. Surplus Hybrid is a book you want to add on to if you've bought one of our overage programs, because that actually deals with surplus or overages. What that is if you've hit a dead end, you can do this on your own. If you've hit a dead end with the claimant doesn't want to work with you or there's too much debt against it, you can run that person's name, the last owner, time of sale, through pacer.gov, okay? If they went into bankruptcy 2 years prior to, and a lot of people don't know this trick, 2 years prior to or 2 years after that foreclosure is the general time period, okay, that created the surplus. The bankruptcy court, this is this hybrid system, guys. The bankruptcy court has a priority claim to this money in front of everybody. It's except the tax man, but still in front of everybody. And if it's a tax sale, obviously they've already taken their money. So you can actually, if they went into bankruptcy, contact the bankruptcy court, talk to or email the trustee and or the judge. It's all online. It's easy to do. You send them an email, and they will give you 25% just for telling them where the money is, and they'll go and claim the funds, and nobody else can claim in front of them. Okay. Now the counties don't have bankruptcies. Typically, don't have bankruptcy information recorded, so they don't even know to contact the bankruptcy court. Bankruptcy doesn't know where to go to get it. It's not their money. They have no problem giving you 25%. I've had people make a little more. I've had people take a little less, but it's a phenomenal way to do it with no money out of pocket. And granted, it's not not a very high percentage of people went into it. I'd say probably anywhere from probably around 3 to 5% of the files that you're going to run across somebody who went into bankruptcy. It's higher than you think, but not as high as it would be nice if it was higher, right? The BK Gold Mine is going to the bankruptcy court. They have unclaimed money lists and just working with creditors, because what happens is they foreclosed against the individual. The individual gave them all the contact information about the creditors that they owed. They did not give them the correct address. The court cut a check, sent it out. It came back. Court makes no effort to find them. It's low hanging fruit. It's lower dollar average, but you can do a ton of them, and it's a very easy system to use. So that is the difference between hybrid and BK Gold Mine. All right. Let's see, next one. This is Jonathan from NC. I want the $2,000 program in Inner Circle. Does this include all the overage programs? Jonathan, that's got everything we've ever done. It's going to take me like 5 emails to send you all that, but that is the best deal on the planet. You're making a smart decision. That's the Platinum Bundle. It's $1,997, $2,000, something like that. Yes, it's got all the overage programs and the Inner Circle in it. Everything we've ever done's in there, pretty much. Valerie Clanton, I'm new, started end of February. I've not been able to find lists in my state. Valerie, I am so glad you asked me that question. What are you doing? I've said this again and again. Don't get OCD and work your particular state. If you have an issue there, guys, just Google overage list, surplus funds list, excess proceeds list. You don't have to go state specific, and it's online from home, so it's silly to be state specific. If you have an issue where you're at, sometimes it's just a little different in that particular state or that county. Go somewhere else. Don't get caught up, Valerie. Just get rolling on it. Jeremy, good evening. What was the .gov site to search the name? Now, this is if a surplus has been created, Jeremy. You've researched it, right? You know that no claim has been made against that money, and now you want to see if maybe if they went into bankruptcy. Pacer, PACER.gov, put their name in. Usually, bankruptcy courts are regional. So, for instance, in North Carolina, we have 2. We have an east and a west. Some states have 4. Some states have 1. It depends on the state, the population, and what it's going to take for them to service that particular state. But they are regional. They are regionally set up. You just blew my mind with the Pacer.gov comment. Thank you, Teresa. Is this part of a program you offer, or was that just a nugget? No, Teresa, actually, that is really covered well in our surplus hybrid program. I believe Jeff can correct me if I'm wrong. That may be a part of the advanced surplus pro pack, but if not, you can get it as an add-on to any of our overage programs. And guys, they complement each other. Okay. That one works really well. The other one, Teresa, if that blew your mind, this will blow your mind too. We have another add-on program. And guys, the reason we do add-ons isn't to try to soak you and make other money. We're trying to keep you focused on making money with a program. So these add-ons are like additional ways to pick up some more business on the side. The other one is the Zombie Business Reviver. And what that one does, Teresa, is if you've run into it where businesses do the overage and they're no longer in business, we teach you how to buy that for next to nothing. Okay. And reset it up with the Secretary of State, reactivate the business. That's a great way to go too. It's a great technique. You've got to be able to get in touch with the people, but Secretary of State generally lists the people that were involved with that. Do I need to become a private investigator to do mortgage overages in Texas? Great question, Elda. Man, you guys are like on it. Two things. One is it's going to be very difficult for you to get a mortgage overage list in Texas because just like Cal, and again, Elda, don't feel like you got to work Texas. Work wherever the heck you can get a list. Who cares? It's online from home, right? Um, but as far as mortgage overages, you're not going to probably be able to get a list from Texas unless you have a friend that's a paralegal there. The reason is just like California, what Texas does is when it's a mortgage overage, those the trustee, the attorney that's assigned to handle that foreclosure, they are also allowed to keep that money, keep their own private list, and try to reach the people to return it. And if they don't, they send it off to the state. They're attorneys. They don't like liability. They don't make a real effort to reach the people. They're not going to give their list out to anybody. And it's going to eventually end up with the state. So the mortgage side, it's hard to get. Texas has, you can certainly get tax overages fairly easy. Texas is a little difficult. They're hardcore over there, and they've got kind of an attitude, the counties do. But I mean, you can still get lists. I have done, hold on, Google searches and found lists easily. However, they have already been worked. All right, Valerie, two things. Okay. So do surplus funds list, overages list, excess proceeds list, excess funds list. But also make sure that you scroll through and just look on the county sites that have them. The other thing is you can also call if you've gotten a program, you can call or email to get a list. But you can work a little more. They're not all taken by any means. We do not have a saturation issue. Or you might have been looking at some older lists where you can get a different list off that site. Sometimes they have them broken out by date they were created. How does it take for the bankruptcy court to pay overage to creditor on average? All right, Charles, this is kind of scaring me how you asked me that, okay? So the bankruptcy court doesn't handle overages, okay? What they have is unclaimed funds from a bankruptcy. And they pay extremely fast to creditors on that. And we teach how to basically it's the only program I think we do where it's an assignment, but it's not an assignment of a judgment. It's an assignment of debt. And it's kind of a proprietary form that we filled out. This is for BK Goldmine, working with bankruptcy unclaimed funds, not overages. It's in there. It teaches you how to do that. I purchased Premier 16, caught the COVID. Now I'm back and healthy. Can I continue from here? Yeah, no problem. Get to it. Wendy, hi, Sean. One of your YouTube videos mentioned if something fell through on the deed program, we can list the same property on national surplus list. Is that correct, Wendy? As long as you own both programs and after the foreclosure, you now turn it in as a surplus, we don't have an issue with that. In fact, there's some really good synergy with that. This is why we work both flipping property pre-sale and post-sale, working with overages. That's a great question. So the great thing with that is if we didn't put the deal together prior to the sale, at least we have on our end, we've eliminated the wrong phone numbers and addresses. We may have even had a conversation with the person. So if you turn it as a surplus, we're going to typically be able to get in touch with them faster than anybody else. And again, we've eliminated the wrong numbers and phone and addresses. So there's a lot of synergy between them. Which state is the best state to get started with the Premier Surplus Partnership 16? Hey, Neftali, we don't lead you that way. What we tell you is what not to work, okay? So we're not going to work Oregon or Washington State because in our opinion, not being derogatory, but Oregon and Washington State, in our opinion, those states have the AGs there, the attorney generals are kind of rough. I don't know if they have political aspirations. That's usually the reason for that kind of behavior. I'm not being derogatory. But we don't like working those. Colorado, we're not going to work. We don't like working there also. And then Florida is a separate program for us because the statutes are so different and they do things so differently down there. So that's the only way you can work Florida with us is getting that in a bundle. I believe the best is the cheapest bundle for that. Has a date been set for the relaunch of the Surplus Fundraisers app? So many programs allow for file. Okay, John, great question. Here's the deal with the app. First of all, Apple came back and they've got an issue. They've got issues with everything. They're changing the way that they're accepting apps. So that's what we're waiting on. We had the Android was accepted right out of the chute. But I'm not going to put that out there until I get the Apple approval as well. We're not going to have file submissions through that. That's not what that's for. That is simply to give people heads up on sales, on any changes to, for instance, we do changes to the ebooks are on our resources page that's attached to the ebook. That way we can do changes on the fly. This will give you a heads up on that. And we're going to start doing all of our webinars through that. Teresa, does your program that teaches mortgage overages teach which state will provide mortgage overage lists and techniques to build lists in states that do not provide a mortgage overage list? Okay, first of all, Teresa, you don't want to start down the road of trying to build your own list. Okay? The only way to really build your own list would be to look at every single mortgage sale and look, even though there's a ton of mortgage overages, that's because there is a crazy amount of mortgage foreclosure. So it's needle in a haystack. You don't want to build your own list. As far as which states will provide mortgage overage lists, I just told you the main two that I know are issues with mortgage overage lists, and those are Texas and California. The rest of them, just go for it and look. We try not to look. We've done it before where we told people, hey, these one or two states are really easy to get this particular type of list or whatever. And we end up crisping that particular state. Of course, everybody goes to that. We'd rather have people. I had stuff turned in. Guys, we have done deals all over the country. We have done California, both mortgage and tax. We had a buddy, a researcher that had a buddy in an attorney's firm that was able to get him that list, which was amazing. And we've done California. We have done, oh, good Lord, New Mexico, I believe, Illinois, Missouri, Montana. I don't know if we've gotten close or we worked on. We just had a few turn in from Louisiana. Ohio, North and South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. Good Lord. The list just keeps going on and on. Montana, Nevada, good Lord, Arizona, Illinois. I know I covered that one. Michigan, I believe we had a mortgage overage that we worked up in there. New York, we got a deal out, which everybody says you can't work New York. We work New York. Just a ton of states, guys, all over the planet. So, all right, let's see what we got here. Does Ultimate Finder simply show you how to be a finder as opposed to avoiding the finder title with a structured buyout? Ultimate Finder is designed to be a finder on state unclaimed lists, Josh. What it also does is teach you kind of a technique. Some states actually make you send out a disclosure that they have to sign where basically says, hey, you don't need to use this guy. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. We teach you how to get them under contract prior to that and then send that out and do backup, and it's completely legal. So that's kind of the cool thing with our Ultimate Finder program, but it has nothing to do with overages. It's unclaimed money at the state level. Do we need a CRM? Elda, if you're doing it on your own, yeah, I would recommend that you have a contact management software to handle whatever you're working. Hey, Sean, I contacted the courts in my city for access to land records. They charge $600 a year, $50 a month. I don't mind the investment because it allows me to search the entire state or counties. Do you think that is too much money for the amount of work I could process? Valerie, I've never heard of that. I know that Georgia charges about $25 a month. That's that GCCCC or whatever. Most states do not charge you for access to Register of Deeds, aka Land Records Department, to check that. And if that's something that you definitely want to access that particular city, that's fine. But you can also just move on and go somewhere else. How long do you think we will be able to work the Deed Flip 30 programs in terms of years, Sean? Good question, Sean. Look, that's buying property, both tax and mortgage, where that's going into foreclosure. That's never going to let up. That's going to be it's just never going to let up, especially the way we're doing it. We're not doing HGTV where we fix and flip. It's an as is, where is flip. Elda, CRM, customer relation management, is not necessary, but you can be helpful if working on your own. That's exactly what I just said, Jeff. I think it's certainly, if you're going to be working deals on your own, both either deed flip or overages, you need to have some kind of database to manage that. If you're partnering up with us, I would of course keep the files you turn into us, but you can also check our list of active files, as a member, and it's going to be on there as well. But I think you should do that. I've had people use Excel as well. Do the states regulate how much we can charge? Greg, that's a great question. And this goes to how we're so different than anybody else. We do not use assignments. People don't assign this money to us for the claim. We also don't use a power of attorney to ourselves. This is what you're hearing online from everybody else. That in that realm, if we did it that way, we would be finders. What we do when we work with someone is they're going to sign a power of attorney to our attorney, not us. And the attorney is going to get it out in their name and use their trust account to deposit the check, take what they're owed, send the rest to me. So now it's really clean. It's completely legal and clean, and we'll send the rest of the money that we owe, anything left that we still owe to the claimant at that point. What we also do, and this is the key, is we give them 10% of the gross amount being held by the court within a week or two after they sign all of our contract and our buyout agreement that covers the 10%. We send them that. And now we're participating. We're covering the attorney costs. No matter what we use an attorney, guys, if you're going to do this with an attorney, my personal opinion, you're an idiot. You need to use an attorney in this stuff. The court takes you more seriously, even if you just got to fill out paperwork, guys. But also, they can cut the check, and the attorney gets it out in the claimant's name and puts it in their trust account and cuts the checks out. So you always need to use an attorney, and we recommend a buyout. Now, the reason we do that is simple. We don't fall into the finder laws. We don't. We're participating in getting the money out. It's a different animal altogether. So I don't have to worry about that particular that item, Gregory. Hope that answers your question. All right, guys, we got 4 minutes left on pre-purchase questions, and then I'm going to flip it to where it's wide open to everybody, where you can also ask post-purchase if it's somebody that has a program with us already and other items. So throw them at me, guys. Keep them coming. We've had some really good questions tonight. One of the things I'll also tell you guys, for those of you guys that are working this or you're thinking about working it, what do we say to the attorney? Elda, do you have our program? Because it's in there. Tells you exactly how to work with an attorney. Typically, guys, I found real estate attorneys work very well. Another one is if you know an attorney close to you, you can actually get a power of attorney to a local attorney. This is what I do, to a local attorney, and have them hire the attorney in the other state or county. Okay. And I give a little something to my local attorney to do that, obviously, to cover the cost of the paralegal and so forth. But that's in the ebook, Elda. It's not hard to do. It's very, very upfront. The one thing they're going to want to do, obviously, is the attorney is going to want to tweak. We have a copy of the power of attorney in there. They're going to want to tweak that because they're attorneys. Okay. They're going to want to change the wherefore or hereafter or whatever in that particular power of attorney. Plus, there's things. Oh, well, good. I'm glad you read about it. That's in there. Real estate attorney or family estate attorney or both types of attorney to work with. Either one, whoever's comfortable doing it, John. One of the best attorneys I had also was a divorce attorney. Okay, deed flip pro bundle. Okay, Elda, you don't need an attorney for deed flip. I'm talking about overages with that. I'm sorry. I'm glad that you made me clarify that. You don't need an attorney for the deed flip. In fact, we use quick claim deeds. Now, if you're not familiar or comfortable writing up a quick claim deed, then I would have an attorney do that for you for the close on that and handle it that way. But for deed flips, I typically use quick claim deeds. I double check the debt, obviously, and the ownership, but I typically use quick claim deeds. I found it's a lot easier and faster. That way I can put a deal together 4 or 5 business days before the auction date and still get everything done and pay it all off. What program can I purchase that has both the 8 and 16% partnering on overages? Teresa, great question. There should be a link here that says offers. Let me see, make sure I've got that. Products, pricing still active. Yeah, it's still got the good pricing that we've had since the beginning of the year. So that's good. You can still jump on that. Click on that and you'll see it. I believe, now this is overages, both the 8 and 16. I believe that's the either the Pro Pack or the Advanced Surplus Pro Pack. And then both of those are great to do, Teresa. Josh, I had to go through 4 attorneys before finding one that would help me with this. Just calling until you find one. Yeah, that's Josh. Sometimes they don't know what you're talking about. Here, hey, let me throw out a nugget to you guys. Okay. And my central attorney does this with other attorneys as well. Call the state bar. Everybody's afraid. You guys are all, this is what I run into a lot. Everybody's scared after death to call people. There you go. Surplus Pro Pack, Teresa. That's what Jeff put on there. Guys, everybody's afraid to call people. Why? You're not doing anything illegal. Look, just call the state bar. They'll refer somebody that handles that for you, or call the court. And they don't like to refer people, but you can. It depends on how you ask, right? You can say, listen, I'm getting into overage recovery. I need to know who's an attorney that typically does this that you know of. I'm not asking for a referral. I'm just asking if you know anybody that's done it in the past. And a lot of times they'll give that up, or you can just call the state bar, and that's kind of their job is their referral system for attorneys. They'll be able to figure out who handles it. There are multiple names for it, right? Overages, surplus funds, excess proceeds, excess funds, anything from foreclosure, both tax or mortgage. And the guys will be able to tell you how to work that. What is the difference between the deed flip 30, okay, and the deed flip pro bundle? All right, so the Pro bundle has both the deed flip 30 and the national deed flip, I believe, in it. The national deed flip, if you want to partner with us, you teach you how to do it on your own. But if you want to partner with us, you got to research debt and ownership and the value of the property very quick. Turn it into us with our on our title worksheet along with additional information. So email that in. We tell you how to do all that. And when you turn that in, this is the national deed flip. When we successfully put a deal together and buy the property and resell it, we give you 15% of the net. Our average net is 30 grand. So the average payout on that's about $4,500. And I just recently set, I think, a $4,600 payment out on that. Mike, if you're here from Canada, you should have gotten that. Call me if you didn't. The other one is the deed flip 30 and the deed flip, and so the Pro Pack bundle has both of them, right? The bundle does. So the deed flip 30 pays you 30%, but you, in addition to researching debt and ownership, you also have to find the people and have a warm conversation to make sure they want to speak with us. John, due to COVID-19, will you expand more opportunities for pursuing probate related foreclosures and tax deed sale auctions? First of all, John, COVID-19 isn't affecting us at all. I don't know where you're hitting, where the courts are shut down or not having foreclosures. I'm not seeing it at all. They're cranking it out right now. So I don't understand that portion of the question. I'm not giving you a hard time. Will you expand more opportunities for pursuing probate related foreclosures and the tax deed sale auctions? I'm going to let Jeff address that because if you have a will, and this depends on what you're working with here. Let me see, probate related. Oh, here we go. Deed flip pro bundles not available at this time. Okay, you can get both national and deed flip 30. And the power play, my bad, bundle. See all programs available on the products page. Click on that link. Sorry about that. I gave the wrong information there. So anyway, John, I'm going to leave it at we're not seeing an issue with the pandemic is no longer an issue at courts that we've been in contact with or been worked with. So I'm gonna call that kind of a moot question. If there's anything else further that Jeff wants to handle on that, I'll let him handle that. Anything else, guys? Let's keep it rolling. It's 9:03. We got a half hour left. All questions are, it's fair game right now. Just throw it at us and we will address it. As long as it's a, legitimate question. I will tell you guys, the one that we recently closed on was in High Point. That was a deed flip. That one was nice. One of the things that was interesting about it, sold it for 40 grand. Put it under contract with the owner, double checked judgments, found out. Oh, no problem, Brian. Found out that there was a $69,000 judgment against the individual. Caught that at the last minute. Called the owner and said, "Look, man, there's 7 grand of taxes here. There is a $69,000 IRS tax lien that's going to fall off fairly soon, but it's going to come down to the court as to how they treat this." And it's true to a point. I can't give you 10 grand. And he said, "Well, would you give me 5?" And I said, I'd give you 3,500. And he took it. So I gave him 3,500. I boarded the house up. This was in October. I did this. Boarded up because he had to wait till January 28th because it was against him January 28th, 2011. IRS tax liens fall off, guys, after 10 years. So then I was able to pop it back on the market, sell it for 40. I had, what did I have? 7,700 plus 11 in it, something like that. 29, 30 grand on that. No, it had to be different. There was less taxes than I thought, 4,700, because we were over 30 grand on our net on that. Hey, Sean and Jeff, these webinars are very helpful. Thank you. I bought Best the Best and National Redemption. I'm working Florida Remote Surplus. Fantastic. And I've submitted 2 files have been accepted. I'm anxious to start the other programs as well. So how soon can I work Florida Deed Flip or the other programs, providing I follow the instructions and the rules? Brian, we don't limit you. Turn the stuff in. Main thing is for each program, you've got to submit one at a time. When it's accepted, that means it'll show up on the list. Once it's accepted, you can turn in another one. Once you've hit 3, you can turn in 10 at a time. We don't care. And that's for every single program. That's so that you guys learn it first, because we used to let you guys turn in 10 right out of the chute. The problem is there's going to be some issues. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes on file submission. And what was happening is people would turn in 10. We'd say, hey, this is great, but we need you to fix the following issues with those files that you turned in. They would get discouraged and stop. So now we go, hey, turn in 1 at a time until 3 are accepted. Okay. Once those are accepted, you can turn in however many you want at a time. And that's worked out a lot better for us. Teresa, is there a deal for those who already have deed flip 30 and also want national deed flip? Teresa, I'm not sure about that. There may be in most of our programs, if not all. You can click on that link inside the ebook, right? And then someone hit the password in there if necessary, throw that in. And on that resources page, or on a page similar, it's usually on the resources page, should be a past buyer loyalty discount button where you can purchase additional programs for a little less, not like add-on pricing, but a little less than full price. That's why we always tell people, look, get a bundle or buy the add-on, because that's a buy one, get one thing. You can't come back later and go, hey, for another 100, no, you can't, 125, whatever. No, we don't do that. Let's see. Been doing this since October. See, a lot of my files are discovered is usually you're able to find the right claimant. Does it usually? Yeah, discovery just mean that could be that we had a conversation with them and we're just starting it. That could mean that someone has died and we're trying to see if we can go further with it. That could mean that we've got 2 out of 3 family members on board and we're waiting for the third person to sign off on it. Could mean a lot of different things, Janet. And by the way, another thing we do, guys, is once a month, once you've turned in 20 files, because we don't want you to do this after you've turned in 3 or 5 or something silly. But once you've turned in 20, you can also monthly ask for in-depth information on the files on that we're working. In addition to that, obviously we contact you as soon as we put it under contract. And this is, a lot of people ask this when they do due diligence, so I'm just going to answer it. Guys, it's you can find out if a claim's been made. There's no way we can screw somebody and not pay them. It's just no way. And we're not going to risk a multi-million-dollar business over not paying somebody a commission. That'd be stupid. Maybe share your pricing menu after the webinar info. Tim, you just click on the link that's attached to this and you can go right to the page. Click on products, go and jump right on that. It's right there. Brady, why don't you like vacant property deed flips? I didn't say I didn't. We don't like raw land. I don't like, oh, wait a minute. You say vacant, I hope what you mean is I don't want raw land. If it's a vacant house, I'll take it all day long. I don't care if they're living there or not. But I don't like raw land, property with nothing on it. Is there a minimum amount of dollars in a mortgage overage you will accept? 15 grand, Jerry. And now if it's Florida, we'll take a little less, but 15 grand. There you go. You got it right there. Wendy, I've purchased 2 programs, but will like to add on in the future. Do you know what the prices will be in the future to add on programs will be? No. Adding on programs, that add-on price, Wendy, is the price. If you buy a program and you add on at that time of sale, that's the price. If you use your past buyer loyalty discount button in your resources page, it's going to be more. It's still going to be less than full price, but it's going to be more. Okay, let's see where we're at now. We're starting to come in kind of nice and heavy. National surplus funds. I learn something new every time I reread these ebooks. Tax foreclosure doesn't wipe out mortgage debt. Same thing with mortgage foreclosure, Josh. So I need to see a satisfaction mortgage recorded. Correct. Mortgage foreclosure do satisfy the debt. No, it does not. So we don't need to see a satisfied. No. Josh, great question. Tax or mortgage overage. Guys, understand something. When there is a mortgage foreclosure or there is a tax foreclosure, if there was additional debt against the person or the property at the time of that sale, that debt has a priority claim to the overage in front of the owner. Okay, does not get kicked out by a mortgage or tax overage ever, and the courts aren't going to pay on it. They're not going to. You can't also just make a claim and go, "Hey, let's see if they show up." I've heard somebody actually say that online. I wanted to just strangle the guy. No, you can't do that. The court's going to go, "Hey, it's due to them. Why would we give it to them just because they didn't show up? It's their money. We're not going to give it out." Good question, Josh. But no, neither. If you read the ebooks, both of them require you check that for a reason. All right. Michael, have you used been verified? And if so, how does it compare to others like White Pages Unlimited or TLO? All right. So a lot of people have problems getting on the TLO. I got to tell you, IDI data, they have been phenomenal. They're a little cheaper and they are just a great way to go. Most people can't get TLO anymore. They've really slammed. They're slamming people on what the requirements are. It's White Pages Premium, not unlimited. Been verified. I really don't have a whole lot of information for you though. Guys, I'm going to tell you the truth about this kind of stuff. If it's really, really cheap or free, it's worth really, really cheap or free. Obviously, our national surplus, we don't require you to find the people or call them if you want to be a researcher. Our national D-flip, we don't require you to call the people or have a conversation with them because we'll do that for you. Premier 16, the overage program that requires you to call them. For that, I'd recommend you get some kind of skip tracing program like at least White Pages Premium. Microbilt is fantastic, microbilt.com. Guy to call there, call them, and you'll be able to see the replay, guys. Guy to call there is call their main number. You can do a Google search. Call their main number. Talk to Randy Mostetler. Mention Sean Bucci, or I think it's Greater Good Company, and he will set you up. No startup fee. I think it's $200 startup fee he waives. We do not get we're not doing this to push them, or we're not in cahoots or anything. It's just a great way for you guys to get a little benefit from mentioning our name to him. Microbuilt's great. I like IDI data a lot. And White Pages Premium has been phenomenal. Do you ever have a problem checking on judgments and liens against the owner so might miss them? All right, Colton, great question. Guys, let me tell you what we do, okay? Once we get it under contract and we get they're signing our power of attorney to our attorney, right? This is how we teach it. Power of attorney to our attorney, and they're signing our buyout agreement. I have, depending on the state, if I know I've got an attorney there or not, 1 to 2 weeks, 5 to 10 business days to send them the first check. During that 5 to 10 business days, I'm having my attorney check, first of all, that you guys did your work right, okay? Because I would rather pay the attorney $150 to check title as it stood the day of the sale. I would rather pay them or have them pay a paralegal for me and be out 150 instead of sending an owner $5,000 if he's got a $50,000 thing, $5,000 and finding out he can't claim it. But that'll also allow them to go in and they can check judgments at the court. Any judgment that was recorded prior to the sale, recorded in the same county courthouse as where the property was, recorded against that owner. That judgment also counts against overages. So that's something I want to check. So that's why I built in a week or two before I send the owner the first buyout, structured buyout check, because I want to make sure that they're entitled to the money. Great question. Is there a max debt limit on tax mortgage pre-foreclosure, even if tax mortgage pre-foreclosures are within DTV ratio limits? Brian, I don't understand that question because DTV ratio limits are debt to value. So, and we've got a max that we'll take. So you've kind of, I think I'm not being harsh here, but I think you've answered your own question there. Sue, will you work with us on our first one if I get the 497 one? Greg, we'll work it our way, but get one of the 497 programs, turn it in on our system, and national. We put the deal together. You don't put the deal together, regardless if you're calling them or not. Even on the ones where you call them, you don't put the deal together. You just find out if they're willing to speak with us. We put the deal together and go from there. We're not gonna. I'm saying this because I've had people before try to put a deal together with somebody and then go, "Hey, I bought your program and I agreed to take 20%. What do you say?" And that's not enough money left for us to pay you and the attorney. So if you're going to turn it in, Greg, our way, and we put the deal together, absolutely. Josh, via support, Jeff confirmed and accepted file, but it still isn't showing on the resources page list. Not a question, just throwing it out there for Jeff. All right, Josh, I don't know how long it's been. I'll let Jeff address that. Tim got it. Thanks. List was updated. It's still not showing open a ticket. I don't know what that. Okay. Ed, I believe you have addressed this question before, but can you direct me to how I can update on files I have submitted? About 100. Oh, no problem. Ed, double check with and make sure that they were actually accepted, because a lot of times people will say a big number, but then they're including numbers that were kicked back, files that were kicked back where they had to fix items and they didn't do it. With that, there is a system. Go to support. There's a on the support tab. You know how to get there. There is a way to make a request on any and all files that you've turned in. I bought Ultimate Bundle. Does it include DFlip 30? Ultimate Bundle 2020. I guess you bought it, Miguel, in 2020. No, DFlip 30 was launched January the 1st. Elda, I have a friend that lost his house to a foreclosure in 2005 in California. He is not sure if he has no overage. How can I help him to find out? Elda, just have him call the court. They'll tell him. I mean, yeah. Now, listen, if it was a tax foreclosure, California gives them a year to claim and then it's out. Now, in 2005, even with mortgage, it might have been considered abandoned unclaimed money at this point in California. If we purchase both the original national deed flip and the deed flip program, is it okay to submit files for, this is a good question. The original national deed flip in order to get past the 3-file limit until we get comfortable cold calling for the NDF 30. There's separate programs, John. You submit for one, you put one at a time. Once we get 3, you can submit however many you want, or you can submit it under the deed flip 30 program, one or the other. Jessica, I use Delve Point. It's great because the information is current. Jessica, what information is that? Delve Point. Howard, we take Florida mortgage HOA deed flips with the national deed flip and deed flip 30. There you go. FYI, file updates are for surplus funds only. That's right. Redemption and deed flip. Obviously, deed flip self expires, right? When the foreclosure hits, it's over. Didn't put the deal together. Then obviously we're done with that one. Taylor, did you just say the minimum overage accept is 15 after we subtract any debt lien owed? Correct. In Florida, we'll take less with the Florida program. That is a separate program. You'll see that it's available in the best of the best bundle. But we limit the availability with that, basically creating a dollar barrier because it's one single state. But that'll be, we can take 10 in Florida. Other states, the minimum is $15,000. That, yes, due to the owner after any debt is subtracted. In regards to National Surplus Funds Program, approximately how long does it take to get a file under contract? Wes, we have found on average about 3 months, 2 to 3 months. About 2 months to get under contract and started, another month for the court to pay out. Okay, Jessica, fantastic. Delve Point is a skip tracing system like Microbill. If you're comfortable with that, Jessica, I appreciate you referring that. Let's take a quick look here. Looks legit. If you've been happy with it, Jessica, I'd say that's a great recommendation. Thank you for that. It's where the community comes in, right? Everybody helping everybody out. Again, I like Microbill because and the reason, let me tell you guys why. So we use IDI data for the main search. Now, Microbill, what they're good at, not necessarily great at getting us the direct contact person, but they've got funky algorithms that allow us to find potential family members and associates that are fantastic. I like White Pages Premium, particularly in the deed flip arena, because you can do a search by address easier than any other skip tracing tool I've seen. It's kind of a reverse search. And that's fantastic because even if the owner's not there, you can contact who is there. And that has paid off for us in the past. If the foreclosure date on a deed flip 30 submission is postponed, do we need to update you with a new date to ensure the file isn't removed from the approved cases list? Yeah. Well, and awesome. Thank you, Jessica. But I'll let Jeff correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think that would be a really good idea. We're not having an issue with that right now. Oh, files are now removed from the list. There you go, Teresa. It's just left on there. We do a purge, but that's on like annual basis, pretty much on files for that. But it's good to know. The process is something Jeff knows more as far as handling that than I do. And I'm glad he's on here. Sorry, so Jeff is saying I can use Florida for National Deed Flip Program. So only surplus is a separate program for Florida. Jeff is saying I can use Florida for the National Deed Flip Program. So only surplus is a separate program for Florida. I'll let Jeff address that. I think you may have understood what he was saying there, Carlton. As someone ready to jump in, not in yet, knowing what you know about the business and current trends, where should I focus? Deed flips, overages, something else. Jim, if you can afford it, I'd get the best, either one of three bundles. Okay. Either the best. Power Play is a great one too, but best of the best, ultimate or platinum if you can afford it. I mean, that's got everything. That's a stupid, screaming good deal. Ultimate's a screaming good deal. But best of the best is great because it has Florida in it. It's a great way to start as on the researcher side. It's a little easier. But Power Play is absolutely fantastic. I like mixing deed flips and overages whenever possible. Obviously, you can just buy one program and start with that. But I do like working both sides because it's similar. You're doing similar research on the property, ownership and debt. One's pre-sale, one's after the sale, but they're both as it stood prior to the sale, obviously. So it's great that you have, it's a very similar skill set there. And of course, it's two different ways to play it. You know, I've said it before, but with what happened with the pandemic, which is pretty much over now as far as the court side of it, what happened was we had some areas for forestall foreclosures, both tax and mortgage, and that's coming right back around. I understand that government-backed mortgages, that foreclosure has been kind of pushed back a little bit, but guys are not going to do that indefinitely. And taxes is pretty much screaming right now. They're having no issue with that. Okay, is the average, this is John, estimated time to close and pay out for the NDF 30 the same as the original NDF? No, John, the reason is on NDF 30, national, it's not NDF 30, it's deed flip 30. But on deed flip 30, you're turning it in having already contacted people, right? And found out they're willing to speak with us. That usually takes us anywhere from a week to a month. So you've cut that time period off with the deed flip 30 because now we're just calling them going, hey, you talked to John. You said you were interested in possibly selling the property. Give us some more information. What are you willing to take for it? We need to send somebody out to take a look at that. We move really quick, guys, on that. And then we move on from there. But you've eliminated the time it takes for them to call us back, you know, or respond to mailings that we normally have to do on your behalf on the national deed flip. CC, how easy is it to get the Delta Point account set up? Guys, I just went online to deltapoint.com. I mean, guys, just give CC. This is something we try to avoid. So we try to avoid giving people tax advice on how to set up if they want to be a company. You don't have to be. If you're a researcher with us, you can work as an individual. We don't care. We try to avoid that because everybody's situation is different. As far as, you know, what you're going to use, we do recommend some skip tracing sites, but we don't get into how to set things up and that kind of thing because there can be changes on their end, and they're far better at training you at that than we are. Okay. In your opinion, what is the most difficult part of going after overages? Josh, I'd say, you know, we're part of, this is why we started rightfulownerproject.org, is people needed online credibility. You can sign up for that for $199 a month if you're going to do this on your own. And it's a way to get cheaper than, like, I'm also BBB accredited, A+ rating, thousands of inquiries, zero complaints, right, on our buyout company, with both overages and deed flips. And that runs me over 400 a year. So that's a great way to go to get that is that'll give you a lot of credibility and get them to call you back faster. Okay. Also, I'd say the most difficult part, guys, is, you know, we get a lot of people that want to apply part of our program and not all of it, and they make mistakes and they get screwed because they want to do it without hiring an attorney. They want to do it without using a buyout. They want to do it. They want to take what I've got and change a little part. What they don't understand is, guys, understand something. If I was about just selling the product, if that's all I cared about, okay, I would be like one of these other guys online. I actually wouldn't, but the other guys online, what they're telling you is, it's so simple. You get a list, you call the person, they say yes, and you're good. You don't have, you know, they don't mention research. They don't mention That there's a process involved. They don't mention that you probably should hire an attorney, but that's the biggest thing I find is people try to tweak what we're doing and they run into a dead end, they give up. Do it the way we tell you. It's not hard. If you want, start with as a partner with us first, a researcher with us first, and it will take you through the process. Put some bucks in your pocket, and then you can work it on your own. So, John, that would be. I think the main thing is that, and I think the other thing is people put barriers in their own way. They try to find. They try to need to. They want to know everything that they need to possibly know that they could come across in advance. I've actually had somebody ask me before, listen, what if it's the people now living in South America and you need a notarizia, not a notary? How do we handle that? And what I typically do in a question like that, in webinar questions like that, is I'll answer the question, but then I'll go, hey, have you run into that? And 99% of the time they go, no, I haven't. I go, stop it. Stop asking questions, what if questions. Um, I have no problem telling you. I'll answer your question, but get to the getting. Work it. Don't worry about having to know everything. Okay. It's a process. You don't need to know everything to get started by any means. So Jeff addressed Carlton's question. Janet, what's the usual reason claimant don't want to get in contract when you tell them they have excess funds from the tax sale? Janet, I'd say, like I say, a couple things. Either I can't get a hold of one of the family members, and maybe like if it's 40 grand and there's two people on that deed, then I can go after 20 grand for each person. Heck, I'll go after just one side of it. I don't care. I don't have to go out to the full side. But if it's 15,000 total and there's two guys and one guy you can't find him because of the black sheep of the family, I'm not going to go after 7,500 bucks for one person. I'm just not. So that's an issue. People die. That's another issue. You know what I mean? Sometimes they've made a claim and you guys didn't double check that that was a recent list. Those are some of the issues we run into. Pat, I have deed flip 30, but don't want to do the skip tracing. Do I have to buy national deed flip separately? Yeah, Pat, I'm sorry. Deed flip 30 is set up. It's a completely different submission system, and it's a completely different system on submitting that. Um, I would go ahead and get national deed flip if you want to work that. All right, let's see who's next here. Hattie, I have national trifecta. Awesome. But felt nervous about getting started, but ready to jump in now. Do you have a 1, 2, 3 order of operation when first beginning national surplus funds and national deed flip? The first, next, and final steps would be very helpful. Hattie, guys, I need to say this. One of the things we've run into, we wrote these books not for giggles. We wrote them because it's a summary, an overview, and Hattie, a step by step. So read the ebook. It'll take you through step by step. Then they usually have a link with a password to a resources page where you get additional information and video training. It's in there, Hattie. You got to read it. People so often they want to go, hey, just do me a favor, give me the summary. Read. It's not going to be that hard. I promise you. Read the ebook, and there's a reason we put everything in there. We didn't put any fluff in there. That's a good question, Hattie. I'm not giving you a hard time. Taylor, do most surplus fund cases have debt attached? Trying to decide which raw gross overage dollar amounts I should start on. Huh? Maybe just choose the big ones for potential. No, Taylor, don't get caught up in that. Look, work anything $15,000 or higher. The average is going to be around 30 with a lot of 15s, a lot of 40s and 30s or 50s. We've brought out 100,000 plus. Do not cherry pick. Turn it all in. Turn it all in. It'll average out to over 30 grand on average. Do most surplus cases have debt attached? No. On the mortgage side, there's a higher probability there's going to be additional debt if it's a mortgage overage. But on the tax side, it's actually kind of rare in tax overages that there was additional debt. The reason is, since, good Lord, the 90s, banks, if it's a tax foreclosure, there probably wasn't a mortgage. Why? Because banks have required people escrow tax in with their payment. Like I make my mortgage payment every month. It includes a portion of that payment is to pay taxes. The bank puts that into a separate account. At the end of the year, they pay the taxes on it. So they know that it's getting paid. So in tax overages, generally there is not additional debt. Now you can still have bail bondsman deeds, which is debt against the property, right? You can still have equity lines that were taken out. you can still have additional debt against that property, mechanics liens, because they didn't pay a contractor that worked on the property. So you got to check it, but there's a lower probability in a tax sale overage that there's debt against it. And that's why a lot of these guys don't even mess with mortgage. They push tax because they know it'll be a higher probability. But here's the beauty, guys. Whenever you listen to me carefully, whenever you see a barrier, and I got to end this soon, whenever you see a barrier, that means opportunity. So if other people aren't touching mortgage because a higher percentage of the tax overages are not going to have debt against them, that means there's less people working mortgage overages, and maybe you got to go through a little more, right, to sift through and find ones that doesn't have additional debt. They're going to eat the overage, but that's a lot more opportunity. Remember that, guys. Whenever there's a barrier, there's more opportunity. Guys, we've hit the limit. You should be getting notice any minute now of how to get the replay. I really appreciate you getting up with us. You can also call me direct Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my cell at 704-791-9398 for pre-purchase questions only, guys. If you go to the site, surplusfundsriches.com, there's also a link here, but surplusfundsriches.com, click on the site. There'll also be a contact us situation there, and my phone number's on there as well. Again, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. Guys, this was one of the best webinars we've had in a long time because of great questions. I appreciate you, and